Okay, so our virtual door seems to have been settled, so we'll go ahead and check in and get started. Welcome back. We hope you all enjoyed the first sessions of the day. We're about to transition into hearing from our two assessment committees. So we will hear from Dr. Deanna Burney. She is the chair of our institution level assessment committee. And then Dr. Michael Abassier, who is the chair of our General Education Assessment Committee / General Education Steering Committee. And then we will have a brief presentation from Dr. Coy Tu, our Associate Vice President of Institutional Research and Analytics. And I'll give us a little wrap up from the Office of University Assessment. So I am going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Dr. Burney. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McTeer. If you give me a moment, I'll go ahead and share my screen. Right, I'd like to say good afternoon to everyone, and we hope that you're having a really awesome day as being a part of our 2023 Annual Assessment Day. Today I will be speaking about the Institutional Level Assessment Committee. As the chair, we are a committee that continues to operate as representing the faculty and the different administrative and educational support programs on FAMU's campus. And so in my presentation today, I would like to talk about the purpose of the committee, the charge that we have had actually since 2004, the roles and the responsibilities, the structure, some of the things that we have been able to accomplish this academic year, and then solicit continued support, of course, from the university. Hopefully my computer will cooperate with me today. Okay, here we go. All right, and so some of the specific roles and responsibilities that we have as committee members of is really just to support the Office of Institutional Assessment, Office of Assessment, and providing leadership and implementing campus-wide institutional assessment strategies. We have been very helpful as a committee and to the university by helping to assist with monitoring the annual assessment calendar, review part of that, that's one of our subcommittees. In addition, we are instrumental in supporting and reviewing different levels of assessments, such as the exit surveys and inspection surveys that are administered on FAMU's campus. And so these, there is a representation on our committee from the different academic programs on campus, in addition to the administrative and support units on campus as well. And so we are represented by 14 colleges and schools, 98 degree programs, 8 divisions, which are the administrative and educational supports, relevant offices, and then two relevant committees, including the Faculty Senate and then GIAC. And so as you can see, we are well represented as it relates to the use of assessment on FAMU's campus. It really is a college-wide support that is offered across the university, including the academic programs, administrative units as well. And so FAMU has been really, has improved greatly since 2004 to where we are now, and getting campus-wide support from the different levels of faculty administration, which has helped us to really be a model across the United States and how assessment is done very well and relevantly for universities. And so we meet approximately 7 times a year. And we do not meet during the summer. We have made a slight change in our schedule this year. The roundtable that we normally have in the spring semester will now be moved to the fall semester, while the assessment day will occur during the spring semester. For the most part, we will follow our schedule as we always do, meeting on Wednesdays at 2 o'clock each month. And so the different representations that we have, again, are from the instructional programs. As I said before, it is well represented across the different programs that we have on FAMU's campus. The representatives that are part of our committee have been very faithful in attending the meetings. The attendance rate ranges between 86 to 100%. Of members that do attend the meetings. There are some, of course, there's some colleges that we will solicit additional support to continue to make sure that we have a good representation and that the work that we're doing at the ILEC level is reaching the different programs across the university. Again, for the administrative and educational support programs, again, it is well represented. This is the area that we want to get more support, consistent support, to make sure that the message and the expectations of completing the assessment plans and reports are consistently met. And so I'll talk about that in just a moment. And so again, we are very grateful for each person that is serving to support the ILEC committee as a representative. And so we are requesting additional supports from the different programs that you see here, including College of Law, College of Science and Technology, which are more IP programs, but the remaining ones are more on the ADESU side, including the Division of Audit, Legal Affairs, and so on and so forth. And so we will be sending out a notice to make sure that we have a representation across each of these divisions as well. As it relates to the continuous improvement that we're making here, again, we have been able to, we have assisted with approving the exit survey. We've made changes on the, we've made changes also on the rubric that we use to review plans and reports. And so that will be a slight change that you'll see as we complete the reports for this academic year and move towards completing the plans that are also due by the fall. And so these are some of the improvements that we have been able to accomplish this year as well. And so we continue to operate in subcommittees. We have a general board, and then we have 3 different subcommittees that are used to really help with the work that we do within the committee. All right, and so the process committee addresses changes to assessment processes that are recommended by ILAC, faculty, and the Office of University Assessment. This particular committee does annually reevaluate the effectiveness and the quality of enhancement rubric or recommended changes that are brought forth from the round table and other, and now of course the spring assessment day. The review committee will assess at least 20% of the assessment reports annually and provide feedback to each of the programs evaluated. And so we will continue to assist the Office of Assessment with this process as well. And then the compliance subcommittee will continue to address non-compliant and low-performing units. And this will be data that's brought to our committee that we will review and then give recommendations for. We will also continue to assist with SACs and other relevant areas of assessment on the university's campus. And so as it relates to continuous improvement, the ILAC will continue to assist, as I said before, with looking at the results of the assessments, working along with GIAC and assessing those outcomes as well. And so these are some of the continuous improvements that we continue to make at this level as relates to the work that we are pursuing within the committee. And these are some of the supports that we provide as well. And so we provide FTE support on ARs, and we're asking that if your representative is not getting FTE, that the administrators or chairs will provide that for the work that the members are performing. It is relevant and would be beneficial to give them a benefit for their participation. We continue to monitor and report on your plans on a continuous basis. We are recommending that you don't wait until the end of the academic year to gather assessment, but you make it more of a formative process, whereby you're collecting data in the fall, you're collecting data in the spring, and then by the middle or the end of the spring semester, you will have all of the information that you need in order to complete your report for the academic year. Again, we are encouraging everyone to continue to use your data outcomes to improve the work that you're doing for students, whether you're on the DESU side or you're on the instructional program side. And soon we'll begin to hear more information about our next regional accreditation and SACs and regional accreditations that will be forthcoming. And so these are some of the supports that we have been able to provide. Are there any questions that you have for me? Any questions? All right, if there's no questions, thank you for allowing me to present today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Burney. And as Dr. Burney mentioned, we can really use support in the form of active participation in ILAC across the institution to make sure your area and your input is available to us regarding the assessment process. And now we will have Dr. Labossiere, who will speak to you about our General Education Steering Committee and our General Education Assessment Committee. Dr. Labossiere.
Thank you. Let me get my screen sharing going.
Okay.
Okay, the traditional Zoom greeting. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Screen visible. Also, they'll probably shorten this in the future. It'll be like, they'll be like, we say hello when you answer the phone. They'll be like the traditional short Zoom greeting. But anyways, to the content. As a philosopher, I tend to ramble. A professional requirement. And now that I've done my mandatory philosophy rambling, I can move on to the content. So I'm Dr. Michael Labossiere, philosophy professor, and also chair of GIAC. I was originally assigned to GIAC back in 2004 by Dean Matthews. She said that it was a eternal appointment, and I thought she was joking, but she clearly was not, because I've been on the committee for 19 years, and I'm now the chair. I'm also the chair of the General Education Steering Committee. So, brief history of the GIAC. Created back in 2004 by then Provost Larry Robinson as a result of the new principles of accreditation adopted by what was then SACs, which is now SACs COC. So this goes back quite a while. So in terms of what the GIAC has been charged to do is four things. First, the idea is that we're supposed to and have done established a streamlined process for assessing general education, hence general General Education Assessment Committee. Our second charge was identify college-level knowledge and competencies for the Gen Ed that we linked to FAMU's missions and goals, and also, of course, the Florida State Accountability Systems, which is something we also have done. We've got the college-level competencies and linkages. And third, of course, bringing the assessment part. We were charged with developing an assessment plan for the Gen Ed, which we have done and we continue to do. And then finally, the fourth step is the monitoring and the implementation of this planned and these assessment activities, which we also do. So mission accomplished each year. So in terms of what our mission actually accomplishes, a good question is, what does GIAC do for FAMU? As per our charge, we assess now 4 competencies. Previously, in recent years, we had 5. The 5th one was technological literacy, but eventually we got to the point where assessing technological literacy with things like computers would be like assessing student literacy with using like a pencil and paper. It's just assumed now. And so we dropped off technological literacy and we retained communication, critical thinking, quantitative reasoning, and social ethical reasoning. Before it was social and ethical diversity, but now it's social and ethical reasoning. And that change was made a while ago, so not in response to any recent legislation. Now, one of our most important charges in terms of accreditation, at least currently, we're still under SAC COC, and we have to fulfill core requirement 2.7.3 and comprehensive standard 3.5.1. And every time accreditation rolls around, GIAC assembles the data, but we attend the meetings, etc. And the last time we did this, it was very, very successful. FAMU did a great job. The people doing the assessment or accreditation were very impressed with our performance. And the next time around, we'll do the same thing. So that's what we do. And then the question is, how do we do what we do? So one of our key things that we do is collecting artifacts, and not cool artifacts like the Ark of the Covenant or Excalibur or something, basically like student papers, etc. And a lot of data now. And in large part, we used to be like heavy artifact, and as Dean Matthews can attest, running hundreds, if not thousands of papers through photocopiers back in the day to get copies to assess. And our focus now is leaning more towards data collection, easier to handle, no photocopying. And so we collect it and we assess it. We also have focus groups to give students a chance to provide anecdotes, individual experience, and kind of put an actual face on the assessment process. Instead of simply having just statistics, we also can get stories. And again, anecdotal evidence is, of course, anecdotal evidence, but it can point to things of interest or things that students might perceive as problematic. Because in general, if the students in our focus group see something as good or bad, likely that other students have similar views that we can look at in terms of the data. We also conduct regular surveys. We have an overall Gen Ed survey in which we get the students to do some self-assessment to assess the Gen Ed. And one of our recent focuses was on identifying potential bottlenecks in Gen Ed in terms of like classes offered, the students, the performance in the classes, to identify those to address anything about the Gen Ed that might be clogging up graduation. We also have some standardized tests, including the critical thinking assessment test, known as the CAT, and the ETS, the Educational Testing Service Proficiency Profile. And these are really good because they give us quantitative data. They also give us a comparison between not just FAMU students comparing to FAMU students, but how FAMU students compare to the nation. And I guess one thing we found out over the years is critical thinking, everybody is bad at that everywhere. So we've been, not surprisingly, focusing a lot on addressing critical thinking skills and writing skills, etc. And then we, of course, have a metadata analysis of analyzing the data itself. And so that's how we do what we do. So We do, of course, assessment every year, and what we do, the committee each year, we uh, do our usual stuff of gathering data and assessing it. But each year, we have a special focus uh, that generally gets accumulative. So, like we before we were focused on 6-year graduation, then we were focused on 4-year graduation because of the change in performance-based funding, and then we add additional things as well. So this year we had, addition to our usual things, we had 3 main sort of accomplishments. The first was or is a practical guide to the Gen Ed Plus. So students often have the question like, what do we have to do for the Gen Ed? What do we have to do for the Gordon Rule? Which is still a thing. People often forget about the Gordon Rule, but it's still there. And of course, we have this civic literacy requirement. And one challenge that advisors and students face is we have multiple sets of requirements. So students that came in before 2015 have a set. Students coming in after 2015 have a set. With the civic literacy, I think we have 3 sets. We have like pre-2018, then post something and post something else. So it makes advising and knowing what to do complicated. And so we assembled this practical guide that covers all the requirements that are outside of like the majors. So the Gen Ed, which is our our wheelhouse, but we also cooperated with other departments and and the university in general to assemble a guide for the Gordon Rule, and also cooperated with political science, history, etc. They handle civic literacy, and they put together a really good guide to that, and we rolled it all into one, available to anybody who wants it. I give copies to my students, advisors, faculty, and it just goes through as it says. It's a practical guide. Do this, this, and this to fulfill your Gen Ed requirements. Do this, this, and this. If you came in this year, do this to get your civic literacy. If you came in that year, do this other thing. If you came in this third thing, then do this other thing. And we'll be updating it again. As some of you may know, there's bills being proposed that will radically change Gen Ed at all Florida universities. And one of the things we do in the GSE and GAC is we get prepared for those types of things. And so one of our project for next year is likely to be radically changing the Gen Ed. And then we'll have, I guess, like 3 different sets of Gen Ed for the students, and we'll have the Gen Ed guide to help people get through that. So that's another one of our functions. Next is our Gen Ed improvement focus, or GIF, or GIF, to do the usual fight over GIFs and GIFs. And our current focus now, it's sort of like a much smaller and unbudgeted version of the quality enhancement plan. And our focus has been on critical thinking. And so what we're doing here is we'll be providing faculty with sort of general videos on critical thinking they can take and use in their class. I mean, they're designed to be modular, so faculty can just pull the video or text. If they want like particular fallacies, or if they want like an argument by analogy or deductive arguments or something, they can pull those and assemble their own PDF or use them. And so our current focus is on the Gen Ed improvement of critical thinking. And then if this program turns out to be a success, then we'll move on to the other competencies. And if anybody wants to create some videos or text to share with other faculty, we're always looking for people. Then lastly, we have our GER, our Gen Ed Information Report. And although the GIAC and GSC are important for the university's accreditation, et cetera, we don't get a lot of publicity. So we put together a infographic that will go out to departments, et cetera, to give the results of our assessment. So people can see at a glance, infographic style, how assessment is going and how FAMU is performing. And of course, we also have our general infographic as well as part of our practical guide that will show students, advisors, faculty at a glance, the Gen Ed. So we're hoping that the more people know about the Gen Ed and have clearer guides, that this will help improve the rates of graduation, et cetera. So that's what we do. Then of course the question is, what can we do for you? So in addition to our providing information and our GIF providing material, we also can do the following for you. First, very pragmatically, we are a small but critical part of maintaining accreditation, and we always come through. And so we that's an important thing we do. We can also provide you with data about students and courses, how they're performing, and provide useful information, material, etc., that can help you with your gen ed classes. Now, of course, what can you do for us? In terms of like levels of difficulty or suffering, first, you could allow us to collect artifacts and data from your courses on Canvas. We're working on, there's a prototype going that's been tested. We're working on integrating Canvas into Nuventive to like, when faculty agree to it, to pull data from courses. And kind of our ideal scenario would be, we would have automated assessment going where faculty set up, the appropriate instruments. It gets pulled into Nuventive, we get the report, and that way it's easy for everybody. Secondly, people can inform students about the surveys we have, focus groups, share links. Also, sort of the third level of difficulty, providing artifacts or data, to us to analyze. We do somewhat less assessment of artifacts than we did in the past, but we still do artifact assessment. So we're always looking for volunteers for that. And of course, the highest level of difficulty is joining GIAC. If anybody is a junior faculty, or you have junior faculty in your department that are looking for those all-important university service hours, one of the bribes, rewards that we provide to faculty is a letter evidencing service that looks beautiful in people's files. So when the tenure and promotion committees look at that, that definitely is like a gold star in the application. So those are the things that we do for the university, things we can do for you, and things you can do for us. And thank you to fellow faculty, administrators, et cetera, for all that you do for FAMU, for our students and our mission to bring excellence in education with caring. Thank you very much. And thus concludes our GIAC adventure for the day.
Thank you, Dr. Labastia. We definitely appreciate that. And now I am going to turn it over to Dr. Coy Tu. He is our Associate Vice President of Institutional Research and Analytics, and he'll talk to you a bit more about the services and support that his office can provide to you.
Thank you, Kiwani. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Coy from Institutional Research and Analytics. Today, I'll go over with you some overview about our unit, what we do, and what we have to offer to assist you. We are Office of Institutional Research and Analytics, which is under SPAIE division. And in our division, we have IR and analytics, assessment, and institutional effectiveness, and we work very closely together. And at the higher level, we are one of the offices that provide data and analysis to campus stakeholders. And we are in charge of the first thing is we provide official data to the state and federal governments, including the state files, data for the performance-based funding and accountability plan, IPASS, and US News. And we are also one of the offices that provide live data for planning purposes. And many of you might have been very familiar with the ad hoc data requests that you submitted to us through the tracking system. That's one of the things that we do as well. And we also work with campus stakeholders on analysis of selected topics to help drive high impact initiatives on campus. For example, institutional rankings or student success. And one of the major products that we wanted to drive and introduce to the campus stakeholders is a dashboard. So now I'm going to give you a very high level view of the retention and graduation dashboard. So let me share my screen. Give me a moment. I'm looking for it. So do you see my screen now?
It's coming up now, Coy.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Kiwani.
And now we can see the dashboard screen.
Thank you. So when you get to the institutional research and analytics website, then you see the dashboards and the fact book. And basically they are the same. The dashboards more dynamic and the fact book is more static, but they would give you the same type of data. So when you click on the dashboards, it would take you to eight different dashboards we have out there, and they cover a full spectrum of data that we have: admissions, enrollment, student financial aid, degrees awarded, faculty employee, grade distribution, and graduation and retention. So depending on your data needs, you can select one of these dashboards and go from there. So for illustrating purposes, let me demonstrate the graduation and retention dashboard. So when you click on retention and graduation, it would take you to the actual dashboard that we have. Let me see if I can enlarge my screen so that you can see it better. First, you see there are two tabs on top, one for graduation and one for retention. And when you get to this point, it looks very simple, because before you select any selection boxes here, this is what we have at the university level. So this is for example, 4-year graduation rate of the university. And now let me demonstrate the beauty of the dashboards. For example, if you are dean of the College of Engineering and you wanted to see the 4-year graduation rate of the engineering students, then you would select from the school entering selection box. You select only the College of Engineering. And then the dashboard would update itself. And now this is the 4-year graduation rate of the engineering students only. And of course, you can have more cohorts as you want. And for now, we provide totally 10 cohorts if you want to do trend comparison. So these are data you have. And if you wanted to look at the transfer students, you select the cohort type. You want to look at full-time, part-time students, you look at full-time, part-time selection box. So with this, you can slice and dice the data as you want. And now, if you wanted to break down the data further, you can select the breakdown from row 1, row 2, and column 1 and column 2. So totally, it would provide you with a 2-by-2 table. So let me demonstrate this. So now if you wanted to look at the retention graduations 4-year graduation broken down by, let's say, gender. So you see when you hit select row 1, these on the breakdowns that we have available for you. So you select gender and then you scroll down. Now you see that the data are broken down by gender. And now if you wanted to break it down by gender and residency, for row 2, for dimension 2, you choose residency. and then the dashboard will update itself. And you can do the same thing for the retention dashboard. So we provide you with quite a few options so that you can have the data on demand, so that you don't have to submit a TMS ticket to us. So now if you, Kiwani, how can I share the presentation again, or can you share it for me? Oh, thank you. And now, if the dashboards didn't have the data that you needed, please feel free to send us a data request through the tracking system. We call it the TMS system, and route it to us by choosing the department as Office of Institutional Research. This way, the ticket would get to us and we prepare the data and send it back to you. So that's all about my overview about the IRN Analytics unit, what we do and what we have to offer to you. And please don't hesitate to let us know if there's anything we can do to assist you. Thank you.
And Coy, we have a question from a Dr. Spears about the Tableau dashboard.
Yeah.
The demonstration looks good. Can we download spreadsheets, data files to analyze instead of only showing graphs from the web?
This is a good question, and I think that quite a few people on campus have asked this question, because right now we are using Tableau Public, so unfortunately the data wouldn't be downloaded either as record level data or aggregate level data. We wouldn't be able to download it. So hopefully in the future, when we move to Tableau server, that would be a feature that we can give you. But for now, unfortunately, the data cannot be downloaded.
If they had a specific data request and they wanted to conduct some analysis, how would they access that information?
Please submit a TMS ticket with the specifications, and we prepare the data and then we'll send it back to you.
Okay. And there was a second one, but I think this one is a little bit outside of OIRA, so I'll address this one. To increase the university or the academic programs rank according to the U.S. News, is it helpful for a faculty member to publish journal articles or numbers of publications or having high impact factors of journals included in the criteria of evaluation for excellence of academic programs? So at the dean's level reporting, so for FAMU's assessment reporting, we're broken down into 3 different types of reporting units. There's the instructional programs, there's the administrative and educational support units, and then there's the dean's level reporting. And on the dean's level reporting, it actually breaks down like faculty research productivity inside of their assessment plan and report. And I know that metric is also woven into some other institutional metrics, but I can speak to it specifically from assessment, that it's broken down, it's like quantified in there for them to report out on the research productivity of their faculty. And then we have another question about the dashboards. I guess, are we considering moving to any different formats? The question is, can we put it in a different format, maybe a pie chart? But I'll ask you, Coy, just generally, are we considering any reformatting of the dashboards or how that information is conveyed? And I don't know if that's a right now thing, if that's a conversation that's being had.
When we were working on the dashboards, we consider different options. So the charts and graphs that we came up with, we believe would be optimal. at that time. But if you have a suggestion, then feel free to shoot an email. We'll be more than willing to sit down with you and discuss this and see if we didn't have it, how can we make it happen for you. So you have any ideas or suggestions to make this better, please shoot us an email.
Thank you, Coy.
Yeah,
We appreciate you and all the hard work of our OIRA office.
Thank you. Thank you. This is teamwork.
And so now on to the Office of University Assessment. First, for our folks who have gone into the Nuventive platform recently, you might have noticed that the interface changed slightly. The core elements of the platform remain the same, but there have been some modifications around just how the information is outlined on the screen. So in the screenshot that you see, a couple of things that I want to highlight for you. Our filters are still present, but they look a bit different. So now you see, if you look toward the middle of the screen where it says objective outcome status, you can filter by the status of your objective. You can filter by your planned assessment cycles. We used to have the audit log up here, but it's actually been relocated from a filter or a button that was up there in the filter area to now when they re-implement it, it will be available under this 3-button menu that I am hovering over right now. And I hope you can see my mouse to see that. Other than that, how the assessment plan and report, you can navigate through it a little bit differently now so that it's on one screen, but you can click between these 3 tabs that have objective/outcome, assessment measure, and results to see the different pieces of your plan and report. And finally, under the results summary area, we've added an analysis of results field. We added that because we really wanted to call out the need for analysis around what the numbers mean in your results summary. And this was also done to align with the revision of our quality enhancement rubric. So our rubric has now been revised to have a couple of different elements in it. We've taken it down to the top scores of 4. We've refined some of the language to make it a little bit clearer around what we were looking for. And we've also specified some elements that we included in our rating, but they didn't necessarily reflect in the old rubric. So I'll use the example of outcome just used to be one kind of category, but we were looking at very specific things like not just what the outcome statement said, but also like, do you have the correct status on it? Have you selected all the relevant assessment years? So now all of that's being called out in our actual rubric. In addition to with strategic linkages, we really want to make sure we're looking at the quality of the linkage in addition to whether you've linked to all of the appropriate levels of linking there are available. We say that because that strategic linkage information actually feeds a portion of the strategic plan. So they can run reports to see, okay, if we have a strategic priority around student success, what are the activities or actions that are occurring on campus in our different reporting units that support this metric? And so we really want to make sure that people aren't just selecting linkages just to select them, but they're actually making sure that they've created linkages between objectives and priorities that those objectives actually align to. And lastly, for the rubric, like I mentioned before, on the Nuventive slide, we've added an analysis of findings area. So there's the results summary as far as what your numbers indicate, but there's also an analysis of findings section because we want to make sure people are giving us that interpretation around what their results mean, and very clear about giving us like the contextual factors that might have influenced their results. Finally, we are offering a recurring training on assessment. It's going to be called the Assessment Bootcamp, and it is happening 3 times a year during each semester. We're going to cover a variety of topics, including the components of the assessment plan and report, how to navigate Nuventive, how to use the rubric, These sessions will occur face-to-face. They will be working sessions, so we'll, tell you bring your laptop and come on out, and we'll host you for a day of navigating the assessment process. It's a great opportunity for, as you bring in new assessment team members in your area, you can just immediately send them over to us for that training session. Or if you feel like you can use a little refresh before we go into our reporting deadline, you can attend the boot camp. So with that, we are going to end this portion of our day. We thank you so much for participating in Assessment Day with us this year. We're doing things a bit differently. So after the end of our 2:40 sessions, that's going to be the adjournment of the day. If you have any questions, any comments, any feedback, you can feel free to reach out to us at assessment@famu.edu. I am going to wrap up now because our next session starts in about 2 minutes. So I want to give you a few moments to transition. If you have questions that we did not get a chance to address, please, again, send them to us at assessment@famu.edu. I see really quickly, when will the boot camp end? The boot camp is going to be a full day session. So it starts at 9 a.m. tentatively ends at 4, but it just depends on, how quickly we move through the content. And I will drop the link for Nuventive in the chat so you can have that, Dr. Spears, but it's solutions.nuventive.com. If you have not been in the platform yet, let us know, because we will have to link you to whichever program or service unit that you'll handle assessment for. Thank you to everyone. We appreciate your support. Everything that we do is possible just because of your efforts around assessment and making sure we push continuous improvement each year. So you all have a great afternoon, and we'll see you in the next session.